in today's session of Divorce Court. Sandra Holloway says her husband Terry waited until their wedding night to let her in on a little secret.
The first night he told me that he had been in a homosexual affair for 10 years.
Can you shut your mouth for a minute?
You don't tell her to shut up. Well, how long did you know him before you married him?
10 days.
10 days? What can a man say to you, do for you? What can he offer you that you got to go in 10 days and say, I can't wait, I got to marry you now?
Today, it's the case of Sandra Holloway versus Terry Holloway in Divorce Court.
All rise. Court is now in session. Maybelline Ephraim presiding. You may be seated.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is the matter of Terry Holloway versus Sandra Holloway, and I'm advised that after 3 years of marriage, you're ready to end it. Ms. Holloway.
Yes, Your Honor, I am. We've been separated for 2 years. There's no we can't reconcile. He abused me in the beginning all the way.
What did he do?
There's no abuse.
When we had been married 13 days, and one day this girl had come in that Terry hadn't seen for a long time, and they were hugging and everything. And
there was no hugging. We were sitting at a table,
Your Honor. Excuse me.
Did she finish her sentence?
Yeah, if she tells the truth.
Well, I don't know if she'll tell the truth or not, but I need to hear it before so I can evaluate whether I believe it or not.
I'm telling the truth. We were sitting there having lunch, and the girl came in and was hugging Terry, and Terry was hugging her. He goes, oh, by the way, that's the old ball and chain, referring to me, his new bride of 13 days.
He called you an old ball and chain?
Yes, ma'am. Then I got angry, and I walked
And what did you do?
I got up. I said, I hope you choke on your lunch. I got up, walked out the door, slipped and fell and broke my leg. I broke the tibia.
You mean after 13 days of marriage, you're laid up with a broken leg?
Yes, ma'am. And then that's not all.
You blame him for slipping and falling?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And you blame him for breaking your leg?
No, I blame him for the slipping and falling.
Why do you blame him for slipping and falling?
Because he called me an old ball and chain. I've been married 13 days to him.
It's their own stupidity.
Okay, but did he make you fall, or did you get up wrong in anger?
I got up out of anger. But afterwards, when we
isn't that your responsibility? Even though you're angry, you have to be careful?
Yes, ma'am, it is my responsibility.
But of course you're angry with him, and you say it's all his fault.
Yes, ma'am. Then when the ambulance went to the hospital, at the hospital, they're pumping me full of morphine, getting ready to take me to surgery. And he tells them, and he tells me, oh, I got to go now. See you later. I'm going to go keep score at the bowling alley.
No, Your Honor.
Excuse me.
He left you lying on
the
bed?
Yes, ma'am, he did.
Yes, ma'am, he did. She was unconscious.
No, my God, that doesn't sound like love to me. I've known people to treat their dogs better.
She was
even the people at the bowling alley said that it was wrong for him to do that, to leave me.
If I hadn't have told her that when I came back.
It was wrong. I was doped up on morphine, and he's telling me I'm going to go now and keep score at the bowling alley.
That was the only means of our support at the time. So he called you an old,
what did he call you?
An old ball and chain.
No, I just said
so what was offensive about it? The fact that that it said old, or the fact that it said ball and chain? Or
ball and chain, because we've been married 13 days. I was a new bride.
It was a joke,
so you didn't think that you were...
She knows my sense of humor.
No, ma'am.
Ball and chain means that you were on him and pulling on him and dead weight and heavy weight.
Yes, ma'am.
And you figured all of a sudden, just 13 days, you shouldn't be heavyweight yet, right?
Well, that's what he implied, that I was the old ball and chain after 13 days of marriage. And then from there, it just kept on going downhill.
So why did that bother you so?
Because I'm not an old ball and chain. I was married 13 days.
Actually, Your Honor,
was this your first marriage?
No, ma'am. It's my fourth marriage.
Your fourth marriage?
Yes, ma'am. But I waited 13 years until he came along, and then I got married.
So that's what was so upsetting.
Yes.
It's your fourth marriage. You waited 13 years to get married again, and then just to be called an old ball and chain.
It hurt
and
my
you figured
pride.
It's fresh.
Yes.
And you thought you excited him, and you had a lot going on.
Yes.
Nobody had ever said that to you before after you married him, right?
No.
So what was that all about, Mr. Holloway?
The day that she's talking about, we were in the dining hall in the commune, and this girl, Patty, came in, who I hadn't seen in quite a while. We had always been good friends, although it never went any further. It never went to a physical involvement. Patty came in. She had heard that I had gotten married. Apparently, I found out after the fact. And I just go, hey, Patty, how you doing? You look good. You've lost a lot of weight. Haven't seen you in a while.
You giving Patty compliments?
Sure.
Yes.
And then I'd go, oh,
Instead of
by
to
the
his
way,
bride.
I just got married. Let me introduce you to my ball and chain.
Ball and chain.
Oh, no, you didn't.
It was a joke.
You call that humorous?
Sure.
Well, I'd hate to hear what you had to say if you were really talking about somebody.
Well,
And you were trying to hurt their feelings if you
Not
call
at
that
all.
humor.
He hurt my feelings immensely.
Did you know about the
it
past
wasn't.
marriages?
It wasn't. Yeah, I knew she had been married before. She has 3 kids.
And weren't you sensitive to her? I mean, a ball and chain after you give a close friend compliments. The woman that you selected to marry, you promised to love, honor, and cherish. Suddenly, you don't cherish her. She's just an old ball and chain.
It was a joke.
A joke. How would that joke have made you feel if she had called you an old bat?
Meant to be humorous, but, you know, apparently, like I said, it turned into a very prophetic statement.
Really? What does that mean?
Well, you know, this last time that she left, I had a situation where I was working in a bowling alley full time.
Wait.
I was making almost $2,000 a month. I'm insulin-dependent diabetic, okay? Food to a diabetic is medicine. If a diabetic does not eat, a diabetic will die a very ugly death, okay? I gave her $150 for grocery money.
Your Honor.
We got into an
Yes,
argument
ma'am.
about her going to Carl's Jr. buying a cheeseburger.
That's not it.
Okay?
I had a mother
You
dying.
always
Just
arguing over
hush up and
somebody.
let
I
me
had a
tell
mother
you
dying
talk,
from
let
liver
me finish.
cancer.
Wait a minute. I don't want to talk about mothers
Yes,
dying.
ma'am.
I don't want
Okay.
to talk about. Let him finish what he's
Anyway,
saying.
I go to work after that. The next day I come home. Where's Sandy? I don't know. Bob gave her a ride to the bus station. She split.
I took $90 to go home on Greyhound bus.
Your Honor, I
had
have a
mother that was
notarized
dying from liver
statement here
cancer.
from our
Wait a minute.
landlord.
You took $90 and left.
She
Yes.
took
Because your mother was
$150.
ill.
Yes, my mother was
But
dying.
you couldn't tell your husband that you were leaving?
No, I was afraid to because he wouldn't give me the money to leave. He called my mother all kinds of names. You should have heard what he said about my
You
dying
should have heard
mother.
what
I
her
don't wanna
mo-
hear what he
she
said about your mother.
her mother, her own self.
That's
I don't
my
wanna hear-
mother. I'm
Anyway, Your
entitled.
Honor,
Oh, truly,
I have a
right?
notarized
Wait a
statement.
minute.
It's a long. My mother's dead, so I don't speak ill the dead.
You're entitled to talk about and say mean, nasty things about your mother because it's your mother? If he called you names and said something about you, all you did was reap the seeds that you had
Right,
sown.
what I sowed, I know.
When divorce court returns, Sandra testifies about the secret she learned on her wedding night.
The first night he told me that he had been in a homosexual affair for 10 years.
Can you shut your mouth for a minute?
You
No,
shut your
you
mouth.
don't tell her to shut up.
If you would like to have the judge hear your case in divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or email us at www.divorcecourttv.com. Divorce court is back in the case of Sandra Holloway, who's divorcing her husband Terry because she says after only 13 days of marriage, he referred to her as his old ball and chain.
So now he called you an old ball and chain. That's not so bad. But I can imagine the things that you must have said about your mother by your reaction, that you can do and he couldn't.
I know.
Oh.
Anyway, Your Honor, I
So,
would notarize.
but why couldn't you tell him that you were going?
I was afraid that he wouldn't give me the money to leave. And my mother was in the hospital dying, and I wanted to go home and bring her home to die.
So
We've
you're
sep-
acting deceitful.
Yes, I did act
Your
deceitful.
Honor, we've separated a couple times before.
7
this
Is that
happened.
all?
And
Seven
I've sent
times.
her
Oh,
the
now that
bus
sounds
ticket
better.
to come
7
out.
times.
7
Because
times.
after 13 days, I think it probably started going downhill
It did.
real quick.
From the time
it
we got
did.
married until now, we've probably been together maybe
4
8
months out of the whole 3
You've probably
years.
been separated longer than you've lived together,
Yes.
Yeah.
4
But the
months
only
you've
reason
lived
we
together?
were separated
Yes.
was because she left me. She stole my money.
My
and
mother
left.
was dying
I
from
don't-
cancer.
She died
you
6
left to go
months
see-
later.
to
Big
see
No,
your
deal.
she
mother?
did not. She died in April 25th. I'm sorry.
You left to go see your mother,
To take care of my
and you
mother.
stayed there with her.
Yes, ma'am.
And that was your good excuse and your way of getting out from the marriage, really,
Yes.
wasn't it?
That was her
Yes.
excuse for stealing from
But
her.
you didn't bother to tell your husband that you were going to stay.
No, but I
So
did.
Matter
now,
of
why
fact,
are you
when
so
she
upset?
left,
Did you get any food after that?
I had to borrow money from my roommates.
But you got food.
Yeah, it was an embarrassing situation.
But then he forgets to mention the fact that he also sold himself while I was living with
Now,
him
see,
to
Your Honor,
another man.
Now, see, this,
Yes,
this is
ma'am,
what
to
I mean
another
by
man.
a
Just
lie.
wait a minute, I'm
this
not
is
lying.
what I mean by a
He
liar.
could-
You know,
he
I
could
don't
co-
know what the color of the sky is.
Let me
in her
hear
world,
what she
okay?
sold
But she's come
himself
up
to
with
a.
this
Stop,
Yes,
Mr. Holloway.
ma'am. When we
sold himself to another man
for
Explain that.
$25. Okay, he
This
has.
is not slavery. What are you talking about?
She's
No,
delusional, Your
no,
Honor.
I'm not. When we had been married, the first night he told me that he had been in a homosexual affair for 10 years.
No.
That they
Wait a minute. This is the first night of marriage?
Yes.
Oh.
He asked me, "Do you still love me? Is that part?" I said, "Is that part of your life over?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Do you agree to go to counseling?" He said, "Yes." But you can't talk about the homosexual part.
It never
So
happened.
how long did you know him before you married him?
10 days.
10 days. 10 days.
We knew each other
And so on the
19
first
days
10
afterward
days.
before we
Now,
got
wait a
married.
minute, Miss Holloway. You've been married 3 times before. You've waited 13 years. You should have almost adult children.
Yes.
And you meet this man, and in 10 days you married him.
Yes.
19
What
days.
was he offering you, or what was so exciting that you couldn't wait?
He promised me that he told me he loved me, that he would be with me.
You had heard those words before. You've been married 3 times.
Yes, ma'am, but I believed it this time.
And what made you believe it this time?
Because my other marriages, I was very young, and I believed him.
And now you were older, so you were wiser. So,
I wasn't very wise to marry him.
but every man that you married before said, "I love you," didn't he?
Yes, ma'am.
So what was so different? Did you have to go in 10 days?
He's the one who came to me and said, "I love you, let's get married." I said, "Okay, Terry, let's get married." And we got married.
Get married and do what?
Live together, but he wouldn't.
Was he
didn't,
working? Did you know he
no,
was?
Yes,
man,
I
he was
was
not
working.
working. He
Oh,
was
my
keeping
goodness.
Yes,
score at
I
the
was
bowling
working.
alley. He
When
did not
we
have
met,
a
I was
legitimate
working
job.
at a Taco
And after I
Bell.
Wait
broke,
a minute. Keeping score at the bowling alley is not a legitimate job?
no, ma'am.
Did he get paid?
Yep.
It wasn't a job.
Make
He did
$125
get paid. Yes, ma'am.
a week.
Okay,
in
jobs
tips.
are defined as work for pay.
Yes,
So it's a
ma'am.
legitimate job.
Okay, he had a legitimate job.
But even if you thought it was not legitimate, that excited you enough to marry him in 10 days?
No,
That's what excited you, the fact that he didn't have a legitimate job?
no.
Did you know he had diabetes?
Yes, I know.
Did you know he was insulin dependent?
Yes, I know.
Did you know that meant that you'd probably be caring for him real soon?
I knew that also.
And that excited you. You wanted to care for him. You wanted to be a
No.
nurse all your life.
No.
Well, what was it that you couldn't
It's just,
wait?
it was a lot of things.
So what? 10 days. I'm still trying to figure out, what can a man say to you? What can he do for you? What can he offer you that you got to go in 10 days and say, "I can't wait, I got to marry you now"?
It was a lot of things.
Can you tell me?
Well, I thought that we would have a nice life, that he would get a normal job, I would get a job, we could move out of the shelter.
Were you lonely?
Yes, I was.
Oh, were you just ready to be married after 13 years?
Yes.
And somebody finally said, "Let's get married"?
Yes.
And you got excited about that?
Yes.
Whoo, that sounds a little bit better. Just tell the truth. That was a deep one, huh, Joe?
Took a little bit.
Jesus. And then 7 times you kept separating. You couldn't
Yes.
stay together anything.
No.
So what was the final straw?
My mother was dying, and I needed to go home and take care of her.
So and when you took that $90 and went to take care of your mother, you never came back?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Oh.
It was $150.
So that was the straw that ended this marriage, is that when you went to
Well,
live...
that plus,
Yes.
like,
when
she's
we were
alienated
together
me
on
from my
Valentine's
family
Day, did he
because of
bring me
this
anything for
garbage
Valentine's Day? No.
accusations about
He
me
brought
being
the
in a
cat
gay
balloons
relationship.
and bags to play with the day after Valentine's Day.
The cat?
Yes, ma'am.
So he liked the cat more.
Holidays
But
and
tell me
stuff
about
are
him
really
selling himself to a
important.
man for $25.
He's a man that he's known forever and ever, his little friends. And he said, so-and-so is back in town, and I want to go see him because we need the money. I begged and pleaded, don't go, please don't go.
So in other words, he prostituted himself.
Yes,
Is that what you're talking
he
about?
did. He said we needed the money, and he came back and threw the money on the bed and said, now let's buy pizza, I'm hungry.
And did you buy the pizza?
He bought the pizza.
Did you eat it?
No.
Oh, so he just ate it.
Yes.
All right, so this marriage has been over since the 13th day. You guys just dragged it out for 365 times 3, and it's just too many.
Yes, ma'am.
So what did you manage to acquire that you need me to divide?
We've
I have
acquired
personal
when
property
we
and his
went-
brothers and sister-in-laws that was mine before we were married, and I would like that returned.
We've both signed a note in '97.
I can't hear but one of you at a
We
time.
both signed a
He
note
told-
that
Mrs. Holloway,
Can you
Mr.
shut
Holloway.
your mouth for a
You
minute?
No,
shut your
you
mouth.
don't tell her to shut up.
I apologize. Okay.
When we were at his...
No, Mrs. Holloway, I'm not going to use that phrase, but he was talking. Now you have to allow
sorry.
him to talk.
Anyway, I was on parole, And I got a travel permit from my parole officer in California to go to my brother's house in Nevada to try and get my diabetes back in order. I was down to 120 pounds, and it was a very serious situation. While I was there, I got my weight back up after a couple weeks. My brother, I'd been talking to Sandy at her mom's house.
Now, this is going to lead to something about the furniture and stuff, right?
Okay.
Right.
So anyway, I talked to Sandy. We decided to reconcile. My brother loaned me $350 to drive down to Vegas to pick her up and bring her back up with all her stuff. Okay. Granted, we were going to be living in my van again. We didn't have enough room in the van for all of her stuff, my stuff, and for us to live. So we left it at my brother's house in their garage. We both signed a note saying that by such a date, which had already come and gone, that we would pay them back, okay?
You left it at your brother's garage?
In my brother's house at his garage.
So you said you would pay them back. What do you mean pay them back?
The $350 they loaned me to drive to Vegas to pick her up and bring her back.
What'd you know about all this?
I knew. I signed the piece of paper, but his sister-in-law told me that I did not have to pay back any of the money. And I can show
Wait a minute. Yes, so you signed the paper promising to pay your brother?
Yes.
The brother?
Yes.
But the brother's wife said you didn't have to pay?
Right.
No.
Because she was going to pay your share?
No.
And you promised to pay them half this money?
Yes, I did.
But you think because the sister-in-law said you don't have to,
right? Then
you change your mind.
Plus, she expects me to spend the money to go out and get the stuff, bring it back here, and ship it out to her.
I can't afford it.
When divorce court returns, the judge renders her verdict.
Mr. Holloway, in case you weren't listening, I've already made my decision. I know things move a little quickly sometimes.
And an update on the case of Teresa Stemmons versus George Stemmons.
I married the man. He should love me and he should care for me just as much as I do for him.
If you so-called love me, quote unquote, why did you spread your leg for your ex-boyfriend in your car?
Divorce Court will be back in session in a moment. Divorce Court is back in the case of Sandra Holloway, who says she was ready to divorce her husband Terry after only 13 days of marriage.
So you're saying to me that you and this argument now is over the storage fees for the items that neither one of you
She expects me to finish paying off the $350.
Where are the items?
At my brother's house in Nevada.
Okay, that's easy. Get all the stuff from your brother's house in Nevada, sell it, and pay your brother. Simple.
It's my personal stuff.
Really? It's going to be so personal, it's going to become somebody else's personal stuff.
That's fine.
Good.
Or you can pay his brother. Which one do you want?
He can sell it.
Oh, that's what I thought you'd go for. You don't want to pay?
I can't afford to.
But
you could have at $10, $15 a month.
When we were together, except for this time that we lived in the roommate
Mr. Holloway,
situation.
in case you weren't listening, I've already made my decision.
Okay, fine.
I know things move a little quickly sometimes, but I've already made my decision. Get the stuff out of your brother's garage, sell it, and your brother takes whatever you get from it.
I have to do this?
I don't care who does it. I won't be doing it.
I can't.
Because I ain't gonna spend no money
Joe,
to
you
go
going up
out
there to
there
do
and
it?
have to
I'm
do
not
it.
making that trip, Your Honor.
I didn't think so. All right, that's the order of the court. Court's adjourned.
All rise.
When Divorce Court returns, an update on the case of Teresa Stemmons versus George Stemmons.
I had told him real slowly and calmly that I was pregnant. I told him that it wasn't his. And I did.
Hush up. Reality hit me.
Oh, no. Don't you do that. I have on the black robe.
Closed captioning for Divorce Court provided by. If you would like to have the judge hear your case in Divorce Court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or email us at www.divorcecourttv.com. And now for an update on a previous case in Divorce Court. Teresa Stemmons said her marriage to George fizzled after he stopped giving her the attention she deserved.
I married the man. He should love me and he should care for me just as much as I do for him.
If you so-called love me, quote unquote, why did you spread your leg for your ex-boyfriend in your car?
I was just talking to him, and one thing led to the other.
Why does this talking always lead to the bed? I don't understand that.
But not-
And sex. I mean, I talk to people all the time. Don't know we talk?
All the time.
But George said he wanted out after Teresa dropped a bombshell on him.
I had told him real slowly and calmly that I was pregnant. I told him that it wasn't his. And I did.
Hush up. Reality hit me.
Oh, no. Don't you do that. I have on the black robe.
George told the judge that he wanted Teresa to pay for his wedding band. The judge ruled that Teresa did not have to pay for his ring. Immediately after court, George apologized to Teresa's best friend for insulting her in court, and she accepted his apology. George says he is now involved with someone he has known for over a year.
I'll never get married again. I might find someone that I'll want to live with, but I will never get married again.
All I want from Terry is a divorce and my freedom to start my life over, to have a better life. I want my things. They're things that belong to my mother. My mother's dead. They belong to my sons. I want my things back.